Welcome to this Asset Wisdom interview with Andy Watts, MD of the Institute of Asset Management. Andy will be sharing his thoughts and the work of the IAM as the impact of COVID becomes clearer.
At the very base level, everybody in corporate life has gone home in the evenings or been given time at work to do their online training they have to do every year, whether it's corporate social responsibility or health and safety, and those sort of things. So adding the basics, the foundation award as a set of 3 modules and a knowledge test is a really great way to supplement that and broaden that understanding across the organisation. I think when you get to the higher qualifications of certificate and diploma, online training then starts to play a part, but isn't the only answer. And I know, one thing we're very keen to do is see our endorsed trainers who do great sort of face-to-face training sessions, supplement that with online learning, but then equally, supplement the online learning with webinars and with interactive sessions so that people can consolidate the knowledge they've picked up and actually, develop some experience through discussing it. And so there'll always be, a need for more than just online. But I think, the biggest challenge is then creating that face-to-face environment in a virtual environment online that gives people a chance to discuss it in groups as well as do it, by themselves. I think we will see a change in the way business operates. We'll question, many organisations I've talked to are questioning the need for a lot of people in big offices. When there's an opportunity to work more remotely, take advantage of the technologies, and certainly, in our world of asset management, when you've got people that are in the strategic end that need to discuss and think together and create those longer term plans, and then communicate those through to people out in the field. Technology again plays a big part in doing that. So it'll change the way we do things, I'm sure.
I'm sure it will. I think the 2 points there. One, the networking, virtual networking. It does tax the brain a little bit, but I've been part of a network of education providers, or education specialists, I think is a better word, for quite a number of years, and that's 38 countries that are involved in that. And the learning from that is really, really immense. But it brings its own challenges, language, obviously the obvious one. But there's also a lot of learning in there. And a really good way of sharing good practice.
So I think language actually you touch on, and that is something that again we've since the IAM has expanded quite rapidly over the last 5-10 years and become had a far greater global reach. We now we've got 4 languages in English for our qualifications now. We're looking at additional languages, and that's almost like the next phase of this global world and community is to get multilingual in the information we provide. So the online presence, the online learning, that needs to follow suit, of course, and try and reach people in their own language, which really helps their understanding.
I think what would be really useful from people who are going to listen to this interview is just to, I suppose, share your views as to what you see the future holding, both for the IAM and for asset management as a profession. I think things have changed so much in the short time I've been involved. There's certainly a lot more interest, a lot more understanding of what asset management is, and the move sort of from it's about maintenance, isn't it? Actually it's not just about maintenance. Maintenance is part of it, but lots of other things in there. So I think that in my short time, as I say, there's been quite a lot of change and a lot of enthusiasm, and we see that from when we're talking to learners. We get a lot of feedback from learners from the online learning. And we do see a lot of enthusiasm for where can I go from here. It's a common question. Done the foundation award, I can do the certificate. Where's the next step? So it'd be really interesting to see to hear what your thoughts are about that.
Yeah, thank you. There's a number of different things. So there's probably 3 big things that I think are there for the future for us, both as an institute and as a profession in the world of asset management. I think as an institute and a profession, one of the biggest things that we've been working on for a number of years now is giving people the ability to be recognised as an asset management professional, which lifts the profession to that status that says this is more than engineering, it's more than just finance or HR, it's bringing it all together and being recognised as a profession in its own right. This year, what we're doing is launching the Register of Professionals for Asset Management. We've started that process. It's in pilot form at the moment, and running alongside that, looking at chartership in the UK. So that's a big part of achieving one of our goals, to have the profession recognised internationally alongside other professions. And the register will be open to anybody across the globe, whether you're a member of the IM or not. So I think in support of that, we'll continue to develop qualifications. We may add a further high level qualification beyond the diploma at some point. And that helps the people in these organisations in the profession develop themselves. I think on an organisational sense, and in the way that asset management is developing, there are probably two big things. For organisations, obviously we've got ISO 55000 as the standard for asset management, which was born as 55, developed by the IAM some time ago now. And that sets a typical international standard bar of having a management system in place for the way the organisation and the people do things. It doesn't, to a degree, recognise maturity. It says that if you have a management system in place, you have the right capabilities in place, then you meet the requirements to do asset management at a level that is internationally acceptable. Beyond that, it's a space that we're looking to work in and take organisations on a journey of maturity to levels above those that meet the requirements of the ISO. So that's a piece of work that will continue this year and into next year. We're very much hoping it will develop in some form of recognition for organisations that can be assessed and audited against a maturity scale above ISO, and says, look, we've really made a bar not just at the ISO level but beyond that. And there's a number of interesting sort of implications of that. We've had some very interesting conversations with the world of risk management and financial risk management with insurance organisations who are starting to use maturity in asset management and the ISO as a base standard for considering premiums. It's saying to people, we understand risk, we understand asset risk and the organisational risk, and therefore, when you're looking for insurance for an organisation, then asset management is one of the criteria that brokers are looking at to say, do we believe your risk from failure or from organisational failure is reduced by the fact you do asset management well, and that's something that is starting to be seen more and more. The other one within the profession really, and it's very technology based, is the whole world of digitisation, sort of virtual asset management and the technologies that now go into the assets themselves, as well as the sort of communication networks around them. So this concept of intelligent assets, digital twins, 3D visualization, bringing, circling that right sort of back to the current period of lockdown. There are organisations who are assessing situations virtually using drone footage, using laser scanning technologies to create models of their assets to understand how they're behaving in different environments. So we're doing a lot of work in that space, working with other organisations as well to say, what does the future hold in this space of sort of digital asset management? So I think with the new register, that's one big goal that we will achieve this year for the profession itself. The work we're doing on recognising people's abilities beyond ISO in the world of maturity and asset management, the second one, and then having a position and helping develop the future for digitising asset management in the digital world, the third big thing.
I mean, that's great. I mean, I think the things that you've sort of explored with us this morning have been far-reaching. Probably some of them have occurred faster because of COVID-19. but it's still it's building the profession and building the support that's available to organisations to meet some of the real challenges that we're all going to face over the next few years, whether it's financial, whether it's people can work from home now much more. What do I do with this big asset I've got in the middle of the city? Well, how do we manage those? So I think there's all sorts of things, and the IAM seems to be really taking a lot of that and helping organisations and individuals to work through it.
And I think internationally, the register is sort of recognised internationally. Chartership's a very British UK thing. It's recognised overseas in many areas. So it's important because we do have a global reach. That's the footing we develop things on. And when we talk about the IAM sort of developing these things, it would be totally remiss of me not to recognise the fact that actually it's our members and our volunteers that actually do all this work. We have an incredible network of volunteers as well as members that enjoy being a part of the IAM that come together virtually at the moment to help us develop the sort of knowledge and guidance and various other things that we do as an institute.
Yeah, and I've had a limited involvement in this SSG, the subject-specific guidance documents, which I think are great documents for someone that's not an asset management manager. They actually give me a lot of information. But one of the things that I was very much struck with when I first started was the level of enthusiasm from people, from members who were really working hard, long. Involved in developing those guidance documents. So I'm sure that they are doing a great deal of work in other areas as well. Yeah,
it is fantastic, and it's great as a profession that people are willing to share their own experiences, their own knowledge, and give time. And their employers are happy for people to give time as well. I mean, it's just amazing when you think of how many people have been involved in the initiatives that the IAM's run, certainly since I've been involved since the late 90s, early 2000s in different projects. You suddenly start to get this feeling of a world of volunteers working in different groups, all producing knowledge that is funneled through then the IAM and back out into the profession. And it's a great opportunity for self-development as well in taking part in those activities, because you're giving your view, you're giving your knowledge, you're challenging other people's view, which is a learning experience in its own right and very valuable to these projects.
You're also getting real feedback from real time, aren't you? In the real world, these people are actually working there doing what they're doing, and you're getting that constant feedback, which is really, really useful.
And certainly as an institute, we have to be very, very aware of the latest thinking, the next best thinking, and how do we bring and blend that in, so things don't become stale. And I think the work on digital, the work on maturity, we do some work on resilience, on climate change, are all topics that asset management as a profession needs to address and embrace and take the value from.
Annie, that's been a really good conversation. Hopefully it has from your point of view. As always, I've learned a lot, and I think people will really value the time that you've spent sort of sharing your views, and certainly the challenges ahead, which may not have been quite what you thought they were going to be, but I think that's going to be for everybody. But a recognition that the IAM is actually a very adaptable organisation that's going to meet the challenges that we need to meet post-COVID-19.
Yeah, well, it'll be a different world, and one we'll adapt to and learn from and improve the way we do things. So thank you for your time. Thank you for.
Great, thank you very much. This has been really useful. Thank you very much, Andy.